It's only 55 days until the NFL preseason begins, and during this offseason, the Denver Broncos quietly made, I think, a brilliant move. We're going to break that down in this video. If you're new to this channel, my name is Ben. I am a diehard Denver Broncos fan. I was born and raised in Thornton, Colorado, and during COVID, my family and I moved to Michigan, and I miss talking Broncos so much with my squad at work that I decided, hey, I'll cope by making a YouTube channel, and now I talk to all of y'all every day, and it is an absolute blast, so it helps me out a ton if you would like and subscribe and dive in on the comments. If you agree that you think Sean Payton's move here was brilliant, or if you think it's way too risky. So in order for us to define why I think what the Broncos did is good news, we have to define the problem that I think it solves, and that all starts with what is our biggest gaping hole, our biggest problem here on this Denver Broncos squad, and it, of course, isn't the quarterback room. It's actually the tight end room. So we ranked dead last in pretty much every single available metric, whether it was catches by that position, yards by that position, touchdowns by that position, and other than that butt catch that Troutman had with one cheek in bounds, which was glorious. This was really, really a massive problem for our team this year, and all of that stemmed from Greg Dulcich, hoping we were going to have him all year, having that hamstring issue, playing him on that Thursday night game on a short week, and having that injury aggravated. And by the time he could have come back, it flared up again to something else, which we're going to talk about. And if we look at Sean Payton, there are a lot of NFL coaches who can scheme up their squad to succeed without a tight end, but there is no coach in football who believes in the importance of a tight end more than Sean Payton. And you can just look at his entire coaching tenure, and it's cool to look at, like, did he just luck out and have great tight ends, or did they become great because they played in his system? So you look at Jeremy Shockey, I think Jeremy Shockey is the first one we're looking at here. We obviously, Dan Campbell being one of his there. We also had Jason Witten when he was with the Cowboys. Obviously, Jimmy Graham when he was with the New Orleans Saints, and that has been a crucial position to him in his success as a brilliant coach, which a lot of people outside of Bronco circles call him. He is a brilliant offensive mind, and that tight end position is crucial to him. Now, because the Denver Broncos had that as their biggest problem, you would think that would have been something he tried to address in the draft, correct? Well, when the Denver Broncos were up with the 12th pick, everyone in the live chat was like, get Brock Bowers. Like, everyone's saying he's a once-in-a-lifetime tight end. Well, one of the things I noticed in looking at Sean Payton's tight ends, whether it was Shockey, Witten, Jimmy Graham, you're talking guys who are 6'5", 6'6", 6'7", and even in his most recent interview, he talked about wanting a big tight end, and that's one of the metrics he looks at, a big, tall tight end. And if we look at who Brock Bowers is, one of the smallest tight ends that I remember ever trending that high in a draft at only 6'3". So good luck with that. Raiders, maybe it'll work out for you. My guess is Gardner Minshew throwing to a midget tight end will not be a good thing for you, but we're fixing to find out when we sweep you in just a few months here. So with the fact that is the biggest need on this team, and we are drafting, and we obviously don't pick a tight end in the first round or in the third round or the fourth or the fifth or with our extra 6 or even in the 7th round. And then we had a ton of undrafted tight ends who were available, and we know that the Denver Broncos were very unique in their approach to the undrafted tight ends or undrafted free agents in general, in that Sean Payton literally physically picked up the phone and called these guys and lured them to the Denver Broncos. And there were a few of them who we broke down on this channel said, yeah, I ended up coming to Denver because Sean Payton was the only head coach who actually called me. So my guess is any of these undrafted tight ends could have come to Denver if Sean Payton thought that he actually didn't already have the solution for that. So I think the quiet, great move that the Denver Broncos made was bet on Lucas Krull or bet on Greg Dulcich, and I actually have a sneaky good feeling that Dulcich is going to be back, and he's going to be better than ever, and we're going to break down why I think that is and why I think that was a great move. So we heard Sean Payton specifically asked about this tight end room, and he just continued to hype up our man Lucas Krull, who I have very, very high hopes for. Although he only had 8 catches all last season, we saw flashes of him, and we know he got really thrown into the deep end coming right off of the practice squad to playing in that Monday night game against the Buffalo Bills. And we saw him streaking open several times, even that third down interception when the game was on the line against the Houston Texans. Russell Wilson was targeting him. So I think there is a lot of hope that he can be good. But more than that, I think Dulcich is actually going to be back, and I know that is something that might throw up red flags in Broncos country, and I feel like there's a lot of Broncos fans who've given up on Greg Dulcich, but what we see here is that Greg Dulcich's injuries were not related. It's easy to be like, oh my goodness, this guy's had a hamstring issue for 2 years, like he's never going to be better. Well, he fully recovered from that hamstring issue, and his injury that flared up was a foot injury that he had to go get surgically repaired. And those were not related. It could be that he was favoring his hamstring, and so then it changed how he ran or something. But from what it looks like in the reporting from Mike Kliss, his foot swelled up so big that like it couldn't even fit in his shoe. And I just don't know. I'm not a doctor. My brother is, but he's my mom's second favorite son because she watches these videos. Love you, Mom. And so I think the fact is, I think Greg Dulcich is going to be back and better. And I think our person who should give us hope is Julius Thomas. That remember, if you had Julius Thomas as a sleeper on your fantasy team the year he went off, you know what I'm talking about. That for 2 years he was injured and everyone had given up on him, like, oh, Julius is going to be nothing. And then when he got healthy, he took the league by storm and helped Peyton Manning set the single season touchdown rating. So I think that's that. And if you take a look at some of his college tape, here's him at UCLA playing against LSU, a very formidable school. You just see that breakaway speed, and you can just see, was that Jimmy Graham or is that, no, that's Greg Dulcich playing in college. And you don't even have to just rely on just college tape. You can remember even him Greg here when he was with the Denver Broncos. I remember so clearly. This was a 9 a.m. game. I think this was our game in England. We wore the weirdest outfits. Why do they call them outfits? That's what my wife calls them. Weirdest uniforms. And he just like lit it up. And that was some of the best that we saw out of Russell Wilson that game in England, just watching Dulcich. And again, you look at this, and are you looking at Jimmy Graham? Or are you looking at Greg Dulcich? So I think the quiet, great move here. And then his first ever catch in the NFL was this amazing play right here that I'll never forget against the Los Angeles Chargers in LA. But truly it was a home game because Broncos country, we are basically the Chargers and the Lakers daddy. That's just a cold hard fact. So if we take a look at just last year and kind of why Russell Wilson moved on and where we're at, that we led the league in the percentage of our second half drives that went 3 and out. And I think a huge reason for that was a lack of production that we had at the tight end position. Sean Payton needs it. And I think the great move was don't reach on a tight end who doesn't fit what Sean Payton wants. Instead, trust that a guy who never had injuries in any level of his football career, when he was in high school, middle school, college, he never struggled with injuries. And in his post-season press conference last year, he talked about how frustrating it was that, hey, I've never been a dinged up guy. I've never been someone people call soft. And now all of a sudden I have the first injuries in my career, and it just kind of sucks that happens your first 2 years in the NFL. But rest assured, I think that if Sean Payton truly, with a position that he needs more than anything, if he didn't think he had the solution, he's brilliant. He would have gone out and gotten one of those. And you know, that Colorado State tight end, a lot of people were saying we should have drafted him in the 4th or 5th round. And Sean Payton's like, nah, I could pick up the phone and he could come here and I know I could talk him into it, but I don't need him because I got Greg Dulcich coming back or I got Lucas Krull coming back. And I think every other position, when we've identified a need, he's gone out and fixed that need. He knew he didn't have a quarterback to run the offense he wanted, so he went out and got Bo Nix. He knew that we needed help to fill the Justin Simmons role, so he went out and got Brandon Jones. And so I think we can trust that Sean Payton needs this, and he feels like he has the solution to the Denver Broncos' biggest problem, and that is something you can bet your cold hard cash on, because here in Broncos country, we believe. This one's for Greg. I just got 3 here, so I won't go over 3. Mother. Kobe. How is that possible? I need a studio with higher ceilings.